What's up, everyone? All right, we've got a lot to cover today. The market was on expert level mode. This was not easy. This morning we had so much volatility. It was almost unprecedented because the volatility was not something that for me even was really easy to understand. It was unpredictable. We were having these huge swings. And I know for a lot of beginner traders, it felt overwhelming. Now, today I was able to extract profit from the market, but even for me, I found it to be pretty challenging. So I'm finishing the day right now, $24,376.71. I'm grateful. That's a fantastic day. This month, before today, I've been averaging about $35,000 per day. So today is going to put me up over $200,000 in profit on the month of May. And today is May 8th. So wow, we're making some really good progress here. The monthly goal, still 400,000, but I'm halfway there at the end of the first week. So now I'm a little bit ahead of the game. I've got the wind at my back, in a position of confidence, feeling good, and I can be a little bit more patient while I wait for good quality setups to come to me. But you know what, today, we didn't have a lot of really good quality setups. Today felt like a day where you had to be really scrappy. You had to be quick to jump in something and jump out, cut your losses quickly, and just hold on tight because we had some big swings, but then we had some big drops. So let's go ahead and jump on the screen share and let me start breaking it down for you. So I'm over here on the Warrior Trading dashboard. I'm going to get logged in. For those of you guys who haven't already done a 2-week trial, link will be posted at the top of the comments and pinned in the description where you can do the 2-week trial. When you do the 2-week trial, you get to open the chat room or open Day Trade Dash, just like I am right here. And this is going to pop out my main screen. Now I have a couple other monitors that pop out. I'm going to move that one over there. I'm going to move this one over here. And I'm going to move this third one right here over to here. Those load up. And then I've got 3-4 monitors that I can spread out across my trading station. As you guys know, I'm in the Caribbean. I'm on my traveling trading station in St. Martin. And so, right now I've got a little bit of limited space, but that's not a problem. I've been able to make do with what I've got using my USB monitors and, of course, my laptop. So when I first sat down this morning and pulled up the scans, the first stock I looked at was ASST. This stock right now is at $7.27. The move began yesterday, if you recall. And so over the last 2 days, this has gone up over 1,000%. You could see right up to about 1,100%, give or take right here. So this is pretty wild. From less than $1 a share to $7, shorts are getting completely squeezed out on this thing. It is just impressive. So, and it's worth noting what's the catalyst on this? Tied into Bitcoin. So cryptocurrency and Bitcoin really giving us some of these big moves in the market, both last week and this week as well. And actually for the last 3 weeks. So that was ASST. Now, when I first sat down, I acknowledged the fact that obviously it's already made a huge move. It's way up here, holding up like 900% in the last 2 days. How do you buy something this extended? So this is the way I kind of approach it. I said to myself, I like it, and I'm going to wait for volume to come in. When is the predictable time that we're going to see a spike in volume? You see this spike in volume right here? That was predictable. Why? Just after 7 a.m. Most retail traders like you and I can't trade before 7 a.m. So starting at 7 a.m. is usually when we start seeing these big spikes in volume, and that was the case today on ASST. So I broke the ice with my first trade on ASST, buying 25,000 shares and looking for that squeeze up through 550. It squeezes up to about 550. It peaks right here at about 569. Now, I was a little disappointed there because I wanted to see it break through the pre-market high, which was at 582. And we did not break through that level. So I got in basically not at the bottom here, not below VWAP. I waited for it to break VWAP. And I got in right here as it was squeezing up for the break of 545, 550. So it goes up to 569. All right, 15 cents a share. So I'm up. I've got profit. But by the time I scaled in and scaled out, I was only up about $2,200. Not a big winner. It dips back down, pops back up, dips back down, and ends up going lower. So it's not really working. I tried to take another trade on it right here, and I lost $1,500. What I thought was going to happen here was we'd stepped below VWAP, and I thought that we were about to start stair-stepping up like this. I was wrong. So it gave back $1,500 on it. And then at the open, I jumped back in at 550 and rode that momentum up to 650, and that put me up $5,777 on the day on the stock. Now, it ended up peaking up here at about 650 and then halting, going down. So it halted down right here, went sideways, then halted up once, showed a huge gap from 585 halt up to 650, dipped and then ripped, dipped, pulled back, pop, rejection, now wick reclaim back up to the high. But to be honest, in this area, it feels like a tug of war. You've got, it's 130 million shares of volume. You've got big traders buying big positions, buying and selling. So it's really, obviously, it's in the hands of the bulls. The bulls are dominant on this right now. It's up 130% again just today. But I just am starting to feel like I don't want to overstay my welcome. So not taking any more trades on this one right here. Okay, so that's ASST. Impressive to see. It certainly can go higher, and it may very well go higher. And I may be leaving money on the table, but I'm walking away with some nice profit in my pocket. And it's always good to walk away, get out while the going's good, so to speak. All right, so ASST was the first stock I traded. Then this was where things got crazy. WBUY. It's a Chinese stock, and it's got Chinese. We'll just have to look into this. It's got Chinese connection. So WBUY hits the scan and goes from, let me back this up. Goes from, let's see, $10 a share right here, all the way up to a high of $25. And on how many shares of volume does it do it? 18,000 shares. On 18,000 shares, it goes up like 18 points. It's crazy. And I was looking at the spreads on it, and they were absolutely ridiculous, huge spreads. And I said to myself, of course, I can't trust this. This is way too risky. So I didn't take any trades on it. I watched it, and I was sort of, blown away. And so right after WeBuy hits the scanner and makes this incredible move up, let's see, we had WAFU hit the scanner. WAFU is also a Chinese stock. So this hits the scanner and goes from $1.50 up to $1.90, and then tanks back down to $1.38. It's hard to really appreciate how big of a drop that is. But from $1.90 to $1.30 is a really intense drop. A 60-cent drop on a cheap stock is, that's pretty intense. So you had this big flush, and then it just goes lower. It ends up actually going red on the day. And then you had JZ. JZ pops up on the scanner. And when this first pops up, I saw it hitting the scanner, and I was thinking about FOXO from earlier in the week. Now, if you remember on FOXO, where did I break the ice with my first trade? It was around $1.50. And so I actually put out an order to buy 20,000 shares at $1.50. My order didn't fill. I didn't fill a penny of the order. I used a limit order, and I'll actually show you my limit order right here. So, where is it? I got to go up. So let me scroll up. So this was my limit order right there. So 4 orders for 5,000 shares, $1.48 was my limit price. That was the most I was willing to pay. I didn't get filled on any of those orders, and it ends up squeezing up to $2.60. To $3.50 right there. It goes all the way up to $3.50 within 20 seconds, which means I could have made $40,000. $40,000 in 20 seconds. Can you imagine? I didn't expect it would go to $3.50. I thought maybe, $1.85, $1.75, $2. But all of a sudden it was like $1.85, $2.25, $2.70, $3.25. It was just showing these huge numbers on the ask. Like it was just unbelievable. And so it ends up hitting this high of $3.50, and then it comes $3.63, and then it comes all the way back down to like $1.20. It bounces back up here and then sells off and bounces back up. And I did end up getting a trade on it for $2,000 on one of the bounces, but it was nothing like what I was looking for. So that was kind of insane. So we have now 3 kind of crazy moves in a row. WAFU, WBUI, WeBuy, whatever you want to call it. WeBuy, WAFU, and then JZ, all with Chinese connection. And so I'm like, golly, this is insane. And why is this happening? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe a market maker got kind of smoked a little bit on WeBuy, and I don't know. Or on JZ, maybe all of a sudden a bunch of traders jumped on that. Maybe there was a WhatsApp, one of those alerts. Sometimes there's those Chinese scammers that put out WhatsApp alerts. I was like, maybe they, pushed the stock up. It was on very light volume, all things considered. So, you don't really know exactly how that happened. This candle, just shoots straight up. So, I wasn't really sure. But after that, we then had STAI. So STAI starts to pop up, and I jumped on that at basically like $1.75, $1.80, and added it too, and it pops up to a high of 220, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Maybe we're going to get another one. And then all of a sudden slams down here to $1.48. Now I got out. I managed to make about $1,000 on it because I was in relatively early, but I was like, whoa, that was intense. So it did this huge rejection right here. Then it did another one a few minutes later. And then MIRA pops up. MIRA pops up, and look at this, from $1 to $1.80, all the way back down to 90 cents. Whoa. And then we had VEEE pop up. Now, VEEE right now has recovered back to the highs. But when it first started to pop up back here, I timidly jumped in with 4,000 shares. I was like, I don't know if this thing's going to work, but I'm going to jump in. I got in with 4,000 shares right at about 350. It squeezes up to 4. I carefully add at 4. It goes up to 450. It goes all the way up to a high of 552. I took profit off the table, $6,000. And then I said, I don't know if this thing's going to hold up. And it reversed and went red on the day. Red on the day. And then it ends up rallying all the way back up right here. Now, as it rallied back up, I was tempted to get back in, but I was just like, I don't know, guys. This is just so insane. And then we had SBET. SBET did the same thing. It goes basically from $3.50 to $6 and then back down to $2. I did not trade SBET. The only reason I didn't trade it was because I was too slow to pull it up. I was going to try to ride the front side of this move, but I was too slow to pull it up. So SBET, didn't get a trade on that. GRI, same thing. And then at this point, I was like, this is just insane. It feels like the market makers have just, I don't know what's happening, but like they're not making the market, because essentially as soon as there's a burst of buy orders, there's no sellers. The stock rips up like $4 a share. And then as soon as people start selling, it goes all the way back down. So it's like the market makers that are usually sitting on the bid and the offer to make the market are gone. They're just offline today. That's what it felt like. And it began sort of with WeBuy, and then WAFU, then JZ, and then you had like 5 other stocks that there was almost no market on. And so you were getting these really insane moves. And although I pulled some profit out of VEEE and STAI and JZ, it felt really risky. ASST comparatively felt a lot less risky. And then we had WGRX. So WGRX pops up. And on this one, I was like, what's it going to do? A full round trip? Is this thing going to drop all the way back down? But this one pops up right here to 9. I didn't trade it. Comes down, and as it rallies back up, I got in for the rally back up. I noticed that the news was related to Bitcoin. So I was like, well, that's what gave ASST such momentum. Maybe I'll take a stab on that. So rode the momentum back up on this, but only made about $4,200. So it wasn't, and I made some money, then gave some back, then made some back. It was choppy. It was very difficult. I was looking and hoping that it was going to squeeze back through the high, but it wasn't able to do that. And then GPUS came back up on the scans. GPUS, this stock, initially this morning, I was like, I don't think I want to trade it. I traded it yesterday. I didn't make much on it. It was a small winner. But yesterday, as you could see, it ended up closing as a shooting star candle right there. So we had the big day on Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday was slow. Wednesday, it pops up. We've got that shooting star candle right there. And then here it's continuing on Thursday. But I didn't think it was going to continue. There was no news for it. But it started to pull away. So I jumped on these pullbacks, buying the dip, and catching those waves up. I didn't trade it past this level right here. So those are my last trades on GPUS. So I ended up making about $4,400 on that one. So in total, I traded 6 different stocks and locked up $24,000. So averaging $4,000 basically, per stock I traded. But I felt like today was expert level. And so let me tell you, as always, my results aren't typical. I've been doing this for a long time, but I'll say that I'm so grateful. I mean, this volatility in the market today, not really what I was wanting, but it's better, I suppose, than nothing at all. We do have stocks that are moving, and that's given some opportunity. You know, when I started trading, my daily goal was $200 a day. So I had a daily goal of $200 a day. That was it. Living in rural Vermont, $200 a day, $50,000 a year. That was a dream come true if I could do that, because that meant I didn't have to work a 40-hour-a-week regular traditional job. And regular jobs in Vermont, even if you got a college education, they don't pay very well. So for me, $200 a day, that was the goal. So to be able to make $24,000 in one day, it's insane. And here I am in St. Martin, down in the Caribbean, looking out at the ocean. I feel very fortunate. I don't want to lose sight of that. Yes, today was choppy. It was expert level. And my biggest words of wisdom that I can share with you as a beginner trader is to practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line. Because days like today, when it's just so volatile, it's easy to take outsized losses because you're getting these really big moves. And VEE, I mean, I've got a little FOMO here. You know, this thing is continuing higher. It is the stock I made the most on. I feel like I left money on the table on it. But, you know, one of the biggest challenges with trading is knowing when to walk away. And that's something a lot of beginner traders struggle with. They make money and then they give it back. And then they start losing more and more and more. Next thing you know, they're right on the day. So at a certain point, you got to learn to get out while the going's good. And certainly being up 24,000 is a great day. And in fact, my last 3 or 4 trades on GPUS were more or less break-even trades. I was jumping in 10, 12,000 shares. I wasn't getting anything for it. And I was like, I lose 50 cents a share on just one of these trades. I'm going to get back 25% of my day like that. So that was my cue to hit the road. And while it's great to see VEE going higher, I'm going to take the money, get out, but I'm going to do it again tomorrow. So I want you guys to check out that 2-week trial here at Warrior Trading. 2 weeks for 20 bucks. I think you're going to have a great time watching over my shoulder, using the software, and getting a sense of what it's like to be a momentum day trader. All right, so that's it for me. Thank you guys for tuning in. Reminder as always, trading is risky. Take it slow. I'll put links to a couple of my recent uploads that have been popular right here. So I hope you guys check those out. Support the channel by hitting the thumbs up and subscribing, and I'll see you bright and early streaming at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning.